Security clearance level 4 shouldn't have let me open that file. But at 2:37 a.m., the system glitched, and I saw what they've been hiding. The lab is always too quiet at night. Just the hum of servers buried behind bulletproof glass. A sound like static from a dead TV channel. Fluorescent lights flicker here, even though they replaced the bulbs last week. I used to joke that the building itself was alive, chewing on electricity. Not so funny anymore. I took this job for my sister. 6 months ago, her voice cracked over the phone. Stage 4. They say it's everywhere now. The SCP Foundation offered hope. SCP-5000 is a breakthrough, the director said. All polished smiles and cold eyes. A cure for the incurable. They never mentioned the screams. But tonight, the terminal blinked red. Error. File corrupted. Retrieving backup. I'd heard whispers about Entity 5000 Omega. A black folder buried in the database. Locked behind clearance even level 4 couldn't touch. But when the progress bar hit 100%, there it was. Directive 5A. Protocols for non-human personnel. I laughed. A dry, papery sound. Administer Class B amnestics to all witnesses, including yourself, if subject entity vocalizes your name. Ridiculous. Until I saw the timestamp. Last modified, November 15th, 2024. Today's date is November 12th, 2023. The sink dripped behind me. I spun around, heart slamming against my ribs. The stainless steel was bone dry. Rule number 1 here. Trust the paperwork, not your eyes. But the air. God, it smelled like Lena's hospital room. Antiseptic and rot. I scrolled further. The text dissolved into a glitching loop. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. You. Then the alarms tore through the silence. Containment breach in Sector 5. Sector 5 was sealed last year. Cement poured over the doors. But the intercom spat static, and beneath it, a voice. Not robotic. Not human. Run. I should have called security. Should have followed protocol. But Directive 5A had her patient ID. Lena Carter. Trial subject number 227. My sister. I ran. The hallway lights died as I passed them. Darkness swallowing the path behind me. That's the Foundation's real secret. The monsters aren't in containment. They're in the paperwork. The elevator doors closed as something screeched behind me. Nails on metal. I smashed the button for level 9. If you're reading this, if you're hearing this, the lights died. The elevator stopped. And now there's a wet, rhythmic sound above me. Drip, drip, drip. Curiosity isn't worth the cost. But if you ever find a file that shouldn't exist, you'll understand why I couldn't look away. The elevator's dripping stopped the moment I saw the note. It was tucked under the emergency hatch, yellowed and brittle, like it had been waiting for me for years. The handwriting matched mine. If you're reading this, you've already broken rule number 1. My throat went dry. Rule number 1 of Directive 5A. Never acknowledge entity. 5000 Omega outside Sector 5. But Sector 5 was sealed. And this note, it was dated tomorrow. The lights flickered. My phone buzzed. A notification from the corrupted file. It had updated. Directive 5A revised. Rule number 3. If the ceiling drips, do not look up. The liquid is not water. Rule number 7. Level 9 does not exist. If the elevator opens there, close your eyes until the doors shut. Rule number 12. Your sister's voice will lie to you. Do not answer. I laughed. Hysterical this time. Level 9 doesn't exist? I'd worked there for 6 months. My sister's trial data was stored there. But the dripping started again, thicker now. Dark. Oily. Not water. The elevator shuddered. The screen flashed. Level 9, access denied. Then the voice came. Please, I'm trapped here. Lena sounded like her. The same rasp from her last days, when the cancer ate through her lungs. They're hurting me, Sam. Make it stop. Rule number 12 screamed in my head. Do not answer. But her sob crackled through the speakers, raw and desperate. I'd give anything to hear her voice again. Even a lie. Lena, where are you? Silence. The elevator doors creaked open. Not level 9. Sector 5. The hallway stretched ahead, lit by dying emergency lights. Cement slabs leaned against the walls. They sealed this place last year. But the slabs were cracked. Something had clawed its way out. My phone buzzed again. Rule number 7. Level 9 does not exist. But I'd been there. I'd filed reports in its archives. Unless they made me forget. The air stank of burnt hair. I stepped out, phone trembling in my hand. The file updated in real time like it was reading my thoughts. Rule number 9. Do not trust any personnel wearing a red badge. They are not human. A shadow moved at the end of the hall. A figure in a lab coat back turned. Red badge glinting. Dr. Carter, my supervisor. The one who approved Lena's trial. Sam, thank God. He called, voice muffled. The breach corrupted the system. We need to reboot the... His head turned. Too far. His neck craned 180 degrees. Body still facing away. His badge wasn't red. It was bleeding. Rule number 9. I ran. The doors slammed behind me, but Sector 5 wasn't sealed anymore. It was alive. Walls pulsed like veins. The floor squelched under my shoes, and the file kept updating. Rule number 14. If you see your reflection, check its eyes. If they're black, you are already contaminated. A shattered mirror hung ahead. I slowed, breath fogging the glass. My reflection stared back. Eyes bloodshot, hair wild. Normal. Then it smiled. You shouldn't have looked, it mouthed. Its eyes flooded black. I smashed the mirror. Shards bit into my fists. The file screamed. Rule number 22. Contaminated personnel must report to Sector 5 for immediate termination. Lena's voice wailed through the hall. They're coming, Sam. Hide. I ducked into a storage room. The door locked behind me. That's when I saw the tapes. Dozens of VHS tapes labeled trial number 227. Lena's trial. I slotted one into a dusty player. Static, then a grainy video. A hospital room. Lena, frail and bald, tied to a bed. A shadow pooled beneath her, rising into a humanoid shape. It whispered in her ear. She screamed, the same scream I'd heard in the lab. The screen cut to a log entry. SCP-5000 is not a cure. It is a vessel. Subject 227's cancer halted after fusion, but the entity now wears her skin. Recommend termination. The date, November 15th, 2023. 3 days from now. The door rattled. Something scratched at the lock. Sam. Lena's voice, sweet and alive. I'm better now. Let me in. The file's final update glowed. Rule number 0. There is no rule number 0. If you receive this, you are already dead. The storage room's clock ticks backward. 9:47 p.m., 9:46, 9:45. Lena's voice keeps knocking. Sam, please. It's me. I press my palms to my ears, but the sound leaks through my skull. Rule number 12 burns in my mind. Your sister's voice will lie to you. But what if this time it's real? What if they did save her? The VHS tape spills static. On screen, the entity wearing Lena's skin tilts its head, black oil dripping from its smile. I yank the plug. The room plunges into silence. Then the lights die, not just here, The entire sector. My phone's flashlight reveals new text in the file. Rule number 27. If darkness lasts longer than 67 seconds, Entity 5000 Omega is feeding. Do not make sound. Do not breathe. I count. 1, 2, 3. The scratching at the door stops. 20. Something moves in the corner. A shadow pooling beneath the shelves, rising like ink in water. 40. Takes shape. Lena's silhouette, but stretched, limbs too long. Fingers brush my ankle. 60. I choke back a whimper. The shadow freezes. 67. Lights flare. The room empties, but the air reeks of chemotherapy drugs and wet soil. Day 2. They found me at dawn, passed out in Sector 5's doorway. Nightmare, Dr. Carter said, helping me up. His badge was blue again. No blood, no broken neck. Happens to everyone here. Sleep deprivation. But his grip left a black smear on my wrist. I didn't tell him about the file, the rules. Lena, back in the lab, the terminal glowed innocently. No errors, no Directive 5A, like it had all been a hallucination. Then the faucet turned on by itself. I stared as water spiraled down the drain. Rule number 3. If the ceiling drips, do not look up. But this wasn't the ceiling. This was... The water thickened. Black. Oily. Not water. I ran. Day 3. The rules multiply. Rule number 34. If your shadow moves independently, report to Sector 5 immediately. Mine waves at me from the lab wall. I lock myself in the restroom. The mirror shows my eyes. Still brown. Still human. Then the lights flicker. 1, 2, 3. In the darkness, my reflection leans forward. You're running out of time, it whispers. When the lights return, the mirror's cracked. Day 4. Lena calls my phone. Sam, it's me. I'm at the train station. They let me go. Please, come get me. Her voice is perfect. Sunlight and sidewalk chatter hum behind her. I almost believe it. Then I remember, Lena hated trains. A derailment killed our parents. She'd never go near a station. Sam, are you there? I hang up. The file updates. Rule number 52. Do not answer calls from unrecognized numbers. Entity 5000 Omega learns from your memories. My hands shake. It's getting smarter. Day 5. Dr. Carter assigns me to Level 9. We need those trial reports, Sam. You're the only one with clearance. Rule number 7 screams in my head. Level 9 does not exist. But the elevator buttons glow. The doors open. Level 9's hallway stretches ahead, pristine and bright. Too bright. Hello! My voice echoes. Security feeds line the walls. I pause at monitor 227, Lena's trial room. Empty. Wait, the bed's restraints are torn. For poles lie smashed. A shadow flickers on the feed. I spin around. The hallway's empty, but on every monitor, my reflection walks behind me. Day 6. The cafeteria serves oatmeal. I stir it absently. A red badge glints across the room. Rule number 9. Do not trust personnel with red badges. The woman laughs with colleagues, spoon clinking against her bowl. Normal, until her jaw unhinges, lowering like a drawbridge. She shovels oatmeal into her throat. No chewing, no swallowing, just filling. No one else notices. I dump my tray and flee. Day 7. The entity visits my dreams. It wears Lena's face but speaks in the director's voice. SCP-5000 isn't a cure. It's a cage. And you're the key. I wake to claw marks on my door. Day 8. The file's gone rogue. It projects rules onto every screen in the facility. Rule number 77. Do not sleep. Do not blink. It watches through closed eyes. Staff laugh it off. IT prank, they say, but Dr. Carter's eyes linger on me. You look tired, Sam. His badge flickers red. Day 9. Lena texts, I'm outside your apartment. Let me in. I live in facility housing 7B. I don't have an apartment. I block the number. She sends a photo. A bedroom. My childhood quilt on the bed. My high school diploma on the wall. And me, asleep at the desk. Today's date on the clock. Day 10. The shadows follow me. In the lab, in the halls, in the elevator. They don't attack. Just study me. The file updates. Rule number 101. Entity 5000 Omega cannot be contained. Can only be transferred. A new video loads. Security footage from last night. I watch myself sleepwalk into Sector 5. The sealed doors open for me. Day 11. I find the injection. A syringe taped under my desk. Label, Class B amnestics. Rule number 3 flashes. Administer to all witnesses, including yourself. But the liquid inside isn't clear. It's black, thick, alive. The intercom crackles. Sam. Lena's voice, but warped. You don't have to forget. I can make you see the truth. I smash the syringe. The shadows hiss. Day 12. They lock down the facility. Containment breach. Again. But this time I'm the threat. Security footage shows me wandering Sector 5, whispering to the walls. I accept. I accept. I accept. I don't remember this. Dr. Carter corners me in the lab. What did you do, Sam? His badge isn't red. It's black. Day 13. The rules were never for them. They were for me. The file's final message glows. Rule number 0. There is no rule number 0. If you receive this, you are already dead. But I'm still breathing. Aren't I? Dr. Carter's black badge melts into his chest like tar. You shouldn't have looked, Sam. His jaw splits. Not a scream, a command. The walls shudder. Alarms blare. But the hallway stretches endlessly, doors slamming shut one by one, trapping me. Rule number 0. There is no rule number 0. The file was right. I've been dead for days. Then she steps out of the shadows. Lena, not the entity. Not the thing wearing her skin. Her sunken cheeks, for bruises, the scar from our bike crash at 12. Real. Sam, please. She reaches for me. I'm still here. Help me. The file screams. Rule number 12. Your sister's voice will lie, but her fingers brush mine, warm, alive. Dr. Carter's tendrils lash. She's the cage, Sam. You're the key. Lena sobs. They put it inside me. But if you destroy Sector 5, we can both escape. The syringe glints in my pocket. Class B amnestics. Black, thick, alive. Rule number 3. Administer to all witnesses, including yourself. But what if the real cure is forgetting? What if I'm the infection? Lena's grip tightens. They made you think you're dead. But I saw you, breathing, fighting. Dr. Carter lunges. Lena shoves me aside. His talons rip through her shoulder. No, she doesn't bleed. Oil oozes from the wound. Black, hungry. Sorry, Sam. Her voice glitches. I tried to be human for you. The entity peels her skin off like tissue paper. Choice. Inject the amnestics. Erase everything. Even her. Break rule number 0. Trust the lie. Save the ghost. I slam the syringe into my neck. The world fractures. Memories dissolve. Lena's laugh. The director's lies. The shadow in the mirror. But the entity writhes. No, you were mine. Dr. Carter's body collapses. The hallway crumbles. And I remember the last rule. Rule number 0. There is no rule number 0. Because I wrote it. They discharged me with a scar and a lie. The scar curves around my neck, jagged and raised, where the syringe pierced skin. The lie? Stress-induced psychosis. The Foundation even staged a funeral for Lena. Empty casket, artificial tears. They let me keep her patient file. Redacted, of course. But I know what's buried in the black ink. 1 month later, I work at a pharmacy now. Count pills. Smile at customers. Pretend I don't jump at dripping faucets. The nightmares are worse. Every night, I'm back in Sector 5. The entity wears my face this time. You erased me, but you left a door open. It says, pointing to my scar. I wake to static on the TV. Always channel 227. 2 months later, Dr. Carter finds me. He sits at the diner counter, stirring coffee with a bleeding red badge pinned to his lapel. Normal, except no one else sees him. You shouldn't have forgotten, Sam, he says, sliding a napkin across the counter. Written in my handwriting, rule number 0. There is no rule number 0. When I look up, he's gone. The napkin dissolves into ash. 3 months later, the scar itches. I scratch until it bleeds. Not blood, black oil. Alive. It swirls down the drain, whispering, "You're the cage. I'm the key." I burn the apartment down. 6 months later, they assign me a therapist. Foundation issued. "Do you believe you're in danger, Sam?" she asks, pen poised. Her badge is blue, but her shadow doesn't move. Not even when she does. I don't go back. 1 year later, I find the watch. Tucked in my mailbox, no postmark. A cheap plastic thing with Lena's name etched on the band. Our childhood secret. She buried it in the backyard the day our parents died. "So they'll always find their way home," she'd said. The display flickers. November 15th, 2024. Today's date. That night, Sector 5 appears at the end of my street. Not a hallucination. Google Maps shows it too. Updated 5 minutes ago. The doors are sealed. Cement cracked. A security feed plays on my phone, live footage of the lab. My old terminal types by itself. Directive 0A, the cage is open. The key is found. The screen glitches. A face appears. Mine, but younger, healthier, wearing a black badge. "You thought you won," it says. But the Foundation doesn't cure. It cycles. And it's your turn to wear the shadow. The feed dies. Now, I'm writing this from a motel. The walls smell like antiseptic. They're coming. I hear them in the vents. Drip, drip, drip. But here's the truth no file will ever admit. The entity wasn't in Sector 5, or Lena, or the rules. It's in the forgetting, the space between breaths. The moment you laugh at a shadow only to realize it laughed first. So if you ever find a file that shouldn't exist, don't read it. But you will, because curiosity isn't worth the cost. But it's the only thing we have.